everybody appears to be using AI nowadays, and I don't necessarily fault people. It's a very interesting and very useful technology that kind of helps solve some everyday problems. However, there are some problems that kind of give me the heebie jeebies. One specifically is therapy. Now, if you have any problems in your marriage or relationship or what so have you, I would recommend trying to get those problems solved. What I don't know that I recommend is trying to use ChatGPT or any other large language learning models to do so. I want to bring our panel back, Elizabeth Bark-Ohana, Tiffany Marie Brandon. Guys, I'm kind of uncomfortable with this. Big piece in NPR of all places. I thought they were defunded, but I guess they're still going for as of right now. But Elizabeth, I'm curious, just general, your thoughts. People using AI as their therapist going forward in their relationships. I feel like it takes the personal element out of it. I'm not super comfortable in that respect. What do you think?
Well, I've been married for 13 years and I am grateful that I missed the online dating days
Yeah.
and I missed this,
Mhm.
turning to chat GPT to like decipher, what's going on in your dating relationship. And I feel for people who are in that stage of life right now, because it sounds really hard. There is no substitute for interpersonal connection. And the funniest thing about this article about the chat GPT, being a therapist for people is that the experts were like, there's a white male bias built into these
Oh my
into
gosh.
these the chatbots and the AI. And so like the women weren't getting, I guess, the feedback that they needed. And so they blamed it on, this bias. I used to have a friend, when I got like all messed up in my head when I was dating, I used to have that friend who could be objective and I would call
Mm.
her and be like, okay, this is what he said. Like, what do I do? We had friends. We didn't have robots. And it's a very scary thing to see how society is turning more towards AI, where our relationships used to be the thing that sustained us and nourished us.
Yeah, make friends, not robots. It sounds kind of Orwellian to think that people are even considering doing that.
Yeah.
Tiffany, if I were to play the other side of the argument, right? You've got somebody who doesn't, unless it has white man implicit bias, you don't have any bias on the internet side of things, whereas a in-person therapist can see other different variables and factors. Do you think that's a good enough argument for people to continue doing this, or do you think that this needs to go by the wayside?
I think it's a terrible argument. I think that I was just with Dr. John Lennox in the UK, and he's a specialist in transhumanism. And what
Mm.
this really is this is another gateway door for us to walk into as a society where we are replacing friends, we are replacing loved ones, we are replacing our source of information with a algorithm, with a man-made AI that is, as we know, being programmed by random people. And we know that there are implicit biases. And more than that, what says that once we invite this AI into our personal life and start having it giving us advice and direction for our personal life, that we're not going to be eventually incredibly comfortable with it dictating our public life, with it dictating more of
Yeah.
our government, more of our policy, more of our professional stuff. And what this really is like we're getting comfortable with it, we're welcoming it into our homes, into our emotions, and that is the perfect little, crack in the door that they need to then walk through and take over on a much larger format. And the threat of transhumanism and this whole push for AI and really depending on computers over people, it's the opposite of how we were created. It's the opposite of how humanity is supposed to work, and it is the end of human flourishing as we know it.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it, and I think hopefully people will start to catch on to that.